Hi students, welcome to this course, PLC Automation and Introduction to Programmable Logic Controller. I am Professor Yao. Input register, single and a group. The keywords, the same characteristics, input register, the input modules, terminals or ports. Input group register, computer memory space. The input register has basically the same characters as the holding register, except that it is readily accessible to the input modules, terminals or ports. The number of input registers in the PLC is normally 1/10 that of holding registers. The input group registers, IG, is somewhat like the input register. It differs in that each one of the individual 16 bits is directly accessible from one input port. One input group register receives data from 16 consecutive input ports, terminals. Figure 8.5 illustrates how this IG system works. The advantage of the IG system is that only one register is required to service 16 input. Without the IG systems, you would need 16 registers to service 16 input. Without the input group system, you would use up more computer memory space to run your programs. The input module port or terminal corresponding to a single input group register bit. Each IG register status controls one bit status. When a port is enabled or on, it creates a 1 in the corresponding bit slot. If the port is off, it produces a 0 in the corresponding bit slot. It is necessary to know how your PLC groups the input numbers that corresponding to each input group register. A typical scheme is shown in figure 8.6. This shows the input group register scheme. This shows the input group and the input port number scheme. Output register, single and a group. The keywords, the output group register, OG, a manner similar. Like the input register, the output register have the same basic characteristics as the holding register. The output register differs from the holding register. However, in that it is readily accessible to the output modules, terminals, and ports. The number of the output register is normally equal to the number of input register. The output group register, OG, is organized in a manner similar to the input group register. It differs from the input register in a manner similar to the difference between input register and output registers. Figure 8.7 shows how the OG register functions. One OG register can control 16 outputs. If a 1 is in a bit position, it will turn that bit's corresponding output on. A 0 will turn its corresponding output off. The grouping scheme for output group register is similar to the input group register system. This shows output group register scheme. Exercise. The keywords: a block diagram, binary, the corresponding output numbers. Exercise number 1. List the 5 major steps and major types of registers. Use the block diagram to show where each type fits into the PLC scheme of operation. Number 2. What would the input grab register look like for the 3 input module status arrangements shown in Figure 8.8? What would the number of each IG group be? What would the register contents be in binary? This shows the diagram for exercise number 2. Exercise number 3. What would be the status of corresponding outputs for the 4 output and the input group registers shown in Figure 8.9? What are the corresponding output numbers for the 4 OG and IG registers shown? This is the diagram for exercise number 3. Homework. Handwriting all keywords and submitting them to Coach Facebook. Just do the online quiz and see you next time.